It's so easy to forget. Okay, we didn't talk about much anyway, right? So, look at this table here. It's got the date, obviously, they're all Thursdays, and then there's a Saturday lab, which gives the date on the right-hand side. I call it a lab, the school doesn't want, they didn't want us to do a lab, so it's not technically a lab, but we do lab stuff. I told them it was a field trip day and they were fine. And then the reading, column, the column that says reading due. So that's when it's due, not when it's assigned. So although I have 1, 2, 3, I have arrows saying it's due by Saturday. So maybe read first 2 chapters between now and Saturday. It's not critical. You can take till next Thursday. Except Thursday you have 18 and 16, 8, 16. Now, so that's why I need you to get your book. Now, this book is mostly pictures. That's why I have it. Or it's a lot of pictures. And the pictures are important. I just didn't do it because I like pictures, but you know, so it's not that much writing. You know, it's mostly pictures. So even though I say read a couple chapters, you can do that. It's not that big a deal. I tried this book one year. More writing, a lot more detail. It was overwhelming. It's too much. So I went back and these they never update it. So I've got to supplement it. When something's out of date, I'll have to tell you. Supplement. There's never been a new edition. I guess those guys aren't interested in doing it. But it's the best book. I mean, I even bought a new one on green building this year. It was terrible. So anyway. So the reading due, that tells what's due that class day. We don't have any holidays until Thursday class. We never get the holidays. They're all on Monday.
The
Thanksgiving.
meetings are usually due on Thursdays, except for this birthday.
Yeah,
Okay.
they'll be due on Thursday. Yeah. I had the arrows going on the second one. They're due that a week from today. Now, I usually have a speaker for the water district. For years, I had someone come in, but I got on the water website for the city, and all the things they would tell in their thing or on the things with this book on the internet. They've got a great website. It keeps getting better, and they've got all the stuff they talked on there. So the Saturday lab, those may switch around because sometimes I have to get people, like sometimes you go to UCSB and look at their energy systems. It's a huge campus and it's really amazing what they've done there, but I have to make sure the guy can do it that weekend. You have a question?
Was that Saturday since Labor weekend, right?
Yeah, the school's still open on Saturday. Timmy asked that same question. He asked me, he said, Patrick, do we have to go Saturday? And I got the calendar out. Yeah, you know, spring break, they go the week and then they include the weekend. And Thanksgiving, same thing, but they didn't do it for this. So we legally have to do it. So if you guys are going out of town for, you know, the weekend, then you're just missed the way it is. Don't pretend that you're going and not come. I want you to come unless you've got a trip planned or you're sick, okay? Or you're working. Okay, so this will give you an idea of what we're gonna do. So tonight we're gonna talk about the site around the house. Because in green building, the site's as much a part of the living situation as the building itself. And it's actually can be designed to help the building. So we'll do that tonight when we get done with his introductory stuff. And then I've got it divided into resource conservation, a lot of the next ones. So we'll do water, how we can conserve water. Even though we had this giant bunch of water this year, we'll probably still go back to drought. That's what they're telling us, but no one really knows. We may have water from here on out, for all we know. That's the difficult thing, but I don't think we'll get totally away from droughts for a while. So we still want to conserve water. And then the next week we'll do, energy, which is a huge one in green building. Some of this we've covered in the building performance, but I'll try to keep it in the other areas that we haven't looked at. Be a little bit of overlap here and there. And then, energy conservation is one type of conservation. Then there's, the production of energy, like alternative energy, like photovoltaics and, wind and that kind of thing. And then there's, efficiency, which we've always had, but it's getting better. And that we studied in building performance a lot because the building performance aspect is what's heavy in that. And then after that, like the 5th class, resource conservation, materials, conserving materials. Carol, I'm gonna have Carol come. One second. For some of that, because she's trying to get the county, and she's getting close. She's been working at it for four or 5 years. Trying to get them to take reusing wood seriously, because the landfill's only got about 3 more years, which the county knows, that's a county facility, but she talked to some city people and they didn't even know that. And you know that different branches of government, different jurisdictions don't talk to each other. She was shocked. 3 years? So then when that's full, they may be able to open some, but it's limited, even if it's a little more than 3 years. We'll have to find a new landfill. So I think there's one in North County, maybe near Santa Maria, but I don't think it's huge. When that's full, you're gonna have to keep going away from population areas, and that's gonna cost everybody money to get rid of their trash, even, residential customers will go so. So land, you can imagine building stuff, when you demolish a building, it's got sheetrock and boards and it's all these weird. Put that in a landfill, it takes up a lot of room. It's not like cans and, bags and stuff. It stays and makes these little things, and it takes up a lot of room in the landfill. Construction is the hugest waste contributor. So, and we're trying to do a guilt trip on the politicians here, because they still think Santa Barbara is the leading green environmental place, and it's not by any means. Just because we had that oil spill, we think forever we're the number one. We're not at all. And so San Antonio, for instance, Texas, which is a nice town, it's a very poor town. They're much more into reuse. We're following what they're doing, really going for it. So Carol's been really trying to get this. I've been trying to support her with any time I have, which is not a lot. But I'm gonna have her come in one of these nights and tell us. She's gonna be here tonight just to talk about Saturday, tomorrow. It's coming Saturday. Then health is a big issue, and sustainability and green building. Because we found out along the way that a lot of the building materials we use are toxic. And so, there's been a big push to use other material and to deal with it. So that's a huge issue. Then there's all kinds of programs. You've probably heard of Sylvan LEED construction or certification. Anybody? LEED? Okay. So buildings, more commercial buildings do this than residences, but they can have a LEED rating, which means they've figured out, they have a checklist, and they do all these things they get points for it, that are sustainable. And if they get under a certain number, they get a rating. And they have they have gold, silver, platinum, different ratings. And it's a big marketing thing, because people go, oh, these people are really concerned about the environment. We'll do business with them. So, but it's nice that they have it, and they've got some newer ones that are even more spectacular, which we'll talk about when we get to that 7th week. Then we have the midterm. Then we're gonna do some alternative building. So one of the things that is peculiar to me as a builder, and not necessarily anybody else that works here, is that we're solving the green sustainable problem with a lot of high-tech solutions. And most of those solutions take a lot of sparse resources, especially minerals. You know, computers take silver and copper and gold, and I forget, there's a bunch of even rare metals that go into those, and we keep, you know, India, this last few years, India's issued cell phones to all their people. They're the most populous country in the world. And it really helps these farmers that are away from towns, and they can order things, and it's been a good thing, but in itself, but it's used, look at how much resource. I don't know how many, they have 1 billion people, 1 billion cell phones saying, hey. And then we reuse, we throw our cell phones away and get new cell phones, all of us, every few years, right? If we're really into it, every 6 months, if we can afford it. I can't afford it, I try to make mine go as long as I can.
The phone companies now have like recycling programs.
Yeah, there is some. But cell phones and computers aren't the only thing that use those. I mean, our electrical systems worldwide use copper. You know, and I'll get a video on copper extraction. These gigantic trucks go in with scoopers 24/7 in every copper mine on the planet, extracting giant quantities. I mean, you go, God, how could that last? It's pretty amazing how things last when you see it. Yeah, but there's an end point. Everyone says, "Oh, we got plenty." Well, yeah, we have 50 years at the most. Is that plenty? I don't know. We'll be dead in 50 years. Well, you guys won't be. I will for sure. But what about our children and all the rest of the people in the world that need this stuff? So we're not making any in the building industry or otherwise, we're not making any provisions for the future that way. And you know, it'll hit and we'll just deal with it as we do, but it'd be nice to kind of think about it ahead of time. So a lot of that's what we'll do in cost. Alternative building, you know, there's a lot of simple structures that don't take a lot of technology. If some of you have families or ancestors that come from other countries, especially if it's back a few hundred years, all around the world, they use different technology. Some of it's very good, and we should be going back to it because it's cheaper. You know, it doesn't cost so much. So we'll look at different alternative building things. That'll be fun. You know, we'll see some there's a lot of YouTubes now on building. It's unbelievable how that's much. We'll do a chapter on materials. That's pretty important. You know, green materials, that's a really interesting chapter because materials have a lifespan, right? And not just you buy them from the store and you use them. They were made from material that was gotten from a mine. They were made in factories. They were transported over long ways. Probably a lot of it from China, which is a lot of transportation. A lot of that involves greenhouse gases, which is making global warming. But also it takes a lot of resources from the earth, and also a lot of places their manufacturing and extraction isn't good for the people there. They use a lot of native cultures, indigenous people, and they don't pay them well and they treat them bad. So there's an equity issue there too. And if we use those products, we're responsible for that also. That's why Dennis was mentioning FSC lumber, because he's worked at the lumber yards. That's a big one. We'll talk about that, but they've you know, they have worldwide representatives, and obviously it can't be too much. It would take billions of people to control all the forests in the world. But they've started and they do the best they can, and they make sure that crappy things aren't being done along the way. And if everything along that chain, production chain is copacetic, then they put a stamp on it and they sell it to Home Depot and we buy it. And Home Depot, for all you can say about it, you know, nobody there to help you, and you know, they did get into FSC lumber fairly early, about 10 years ago, and a good portion of their merchandise is forest stewardship produced. So that's a positive thing. Architecture and development, we'll have a unit on that after Thanksgiving. Because development you'll probably be involved in, and as builders, architecture is just something you should get a little bit into, you know, if you haven't already. It's a part of building and development's really important, I guess. And that'll be it. Any questions about that? So let me take roll now. I think everybody's here is gonna be here. So Toma, you were here, right? Landon, there you are. And Matthew Garcia?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Do you go by Matt?
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe that's. Okay, so I'm over 75, so I forget names and things, okay? I've only had some of you once,
How
so
old are you?
76. So I do forget names, but I also make it an effort to get names, because I hate not knowing people's names. I know a lot of your names from before, but. Manny, you're here. Danny Inda. It's a great name. Where's Inda from? It's a Hispanic name, Inda? Never heard it, that's great. Robin's here. Gavin called me and said he wasn't. Brian's here. Flavine's here. Chelsea, is that how you say it? Great, welcome, thank you. Dan Morgan. Oh, yeah. And Marco, I saw Marco come in. Yeah. Okay, Jennifer, there's no other woman, so I guess Jennifer's not here tonight. Julio's here. Lucian Remington. Okay. Alberto. Oh, yeah. Alberto Reyes, okay. If you have a nickname or shorter name that you would prefer, let me know when I call your name. And William's here. Dennis is here. Elias is here. And Zach's here. Anybody's name I didn't, well. I was hoping to add the class. Oh, that's why I didn't call your name. Okay. What is your name? Luis? Yeah. And what's your last name? Velasquez. Velasquez? Yeah, correct. Like the painter, right? The Renaissance painter. Okay, you got something to write with? So X R F K 1 2. Okay. Anybody else adding? Flavie, did you have a question?
Oh, yeah.
I called. I knew you were here. Yeah. I got everybody else has been called or added. Okay, great. Super.
You called me, right?
I did call you. Yeah. Thanks. Yeah, that's why, you know, sometimes I'll just call everybody's name even though I know you, because that situation, you don't know if I got you, so. I wanted to let you know that I remembered a lot of your names. All right. Let's go till 7. Joe's gonna come at 7. So come on up and get one of each of those handouts. Okay. Hey, thanks. Hey, you guys who are new to this class, are you all considering the certificate program? Or are you just taking the C? So if you're anytime during the semester, if you want to talk to me or anybody else about the program, feel free. You don't know much about it. I think it's a good time to be in building. There's a lot of, we've let infrastructure as a nation, state, and locality go for a long time. And we've got money, the federal government's given us a lot of money in the states to bring that back up to date, so there's gonna be a lot of building. A lot of it may not be in town, you have to travel some, the issue with infrastructure. There's also a lot of construction going on here. How many are in the construction field and work here in, or Santa Barbara County? Yeah, a lot of you, yeah. So there's work here too, but, and I think, we're so behind that it's like every other trade. You can sort of establish the rates that you get paid, because you're now a needed entity. For so long, we thought we could do without tradespeople, which was stupid. You know who really, in this state, who really figured that out early? Arnold Schwarzenegger, the governor. Republican governor normally doesn't. Arnold Schwarzenegger. He was a construction worker. He made cabinets in Austria, where he's from, and he really believed in trades. And he's a Republican. That isn't a normal match. Usually they're more in the white collar end, but he really put a lot of energy into trades when he was governor. Interesting. And he knew this day would come. He was saying, they'll come when you need a plumber and there isn't one around to come and fix your toilet or your sink, So one more thing I want to point out is, I don't know how many of you read the Independent, probably nobody. But it's free. They have stands everywhere, including on campus here at the front. And it has what's going on in town. Of course, none of us can afford that anymore, so that's a blank. I can't even afford to go out and read it. But if something's coming up, an entertainer you like or whatever, this has a lot of good information. Since we don't have a regular paper anymore, the news press has gone under. This is it. But it has a lot of stories. It has the obits, so you can see who died in the area. You guys aren't into that. When you get older, you're interested in that. It has local stories about things and issues, which are interesting. But it also comes in two parts. This is the regular issue part, and then this is the real estate part in the back. And it reads upside, it's upside down. You open from one end of real estate, and then you have to turn it over for the other side, events. And in the real estate, it's mostly, it's real estate, but every other week or so, Dennis Allen, who's a green builder, one of the first green builders in town, he's retired, he's still on the board of his company. It's still called Allen Construction, but he was a great, I know him, he was a great green builder, and he's still, he's on the Bren program at UCSB, the environmental program. He's on their board, and he's on the C board, so he's involved in a lot of environmental stuff. But he writes a column about sustainability every other week. So you might look, and it's at the end of all the real estate just before it starts going upside down to the front. And this one's on trees and bushes for food. And he's just saying, a lot of the world, when they plant things, they don't just plant decorative things, they plant things they can eat. So he said that's, keep that in mind. It's becoming important to do that. Another thing, and I think we'll talk about that later tonight, is not just food for humans, like fruit trees and stuff, but food for animals. Because as we take their land to development, they're kind of hard up. They don't have as much wilderness to feed from. So like, you can have bird feeders, you can feed birds, that's simple. You know, so there's a lot, and, what do they call them? The ones that, like bees and, butterfly pollinators. Thank you. The pollinators are disappearing sometimes. Bees are having problems. Butterflies are okay so far. But over half of the food in plants is pollinated by these species. If they go under, we no longer have those plants. So this is not a casual thing, no, we depend on these people, and that's part of what's behind green building is the interconnection. How things are so interconnected, we're finding out more and more. So we can't just be responsible for building a nice house. We have to make sure it works with the street, the neighborhood, the state, you know, that's what's involved in it. And you guys are, as a big, you know, coming in the beginning, it's not the beginning, but it's still ongoing. But having flowers and places for bees and butterflies to get nectar, and in the process of getting nectar, they get plant genes on their feet. And then the next plant they go to, they plant it there. So they're responsible for reproducing those plants. Anyway, that's a good column. I'll have more of them to read to you, but it's interesting. So years ago, oh, I don't know, 10 years ago, I got a grant that somebody said, you know, you should really do more environmental stuff in your building program. And I said, well, okay. And so I got a grant, and so it paid for me to learn a lot. That was mostly what the grant was. But so I did that, and so I made each of the classes as green as I could, and then I had this class, green building. And it's different for a lot of you because you come here, most of the classes, you just learn how to, you know, skills, how to put things together and build things. And this isn't going to be, it'll be some that way, but mostly this will be more thinking about building issues and the future and where you might position yourself in the future. This might give you, there's a lot of ideas now that building's changing. There's a whole new jobs. This might give you some directions going that way too. Like Dennis just got a job, and he's doing all kinds of interesting things that, you know, I wouldn't have thought of years back. So we'll do that. Okay. General sustainability, that one of the two. Yeah, fine. First I gotta wear my glasses or what I do with them right there. So I'm going to talk about the most general part of this, and then we'll keep focusing down until we get to building, okay? But you can't just start with building. It's a huge movement. It's all kinds of things. Building's really important because it's one of the last movements to get it. What's the first thing we started worrying about with sustainability?
Solar panels.
Energy, yeah, solar panels, which would be houses. What else do we do? What about cars, autos?
Small.
Yeah, I mean, we've got catalytic converters, all kinds of things that burn less fossil fuel. We've been working on that for a long time. Yeah. So, and then autos have taken most of the limelight of sustainability for a long time, but they're actually, they don't hold a candle to what building does to the environment. So they finally figured that out, and they said, oh my God, building's so much more involved than cars. Even though cars spew a lot of, you know, fossil fuel into the air, buildings are huge. I mean, they take a lot of vehicles to make a building, and then when they operate, they use a lot of energy, and they put out a lot of, you know, toxins and stuff. So they just started waking up the buildings. Cars are easy to deal with. You just make them, you make a prototype that works, and then you reproduce it, and then you make everybody buy that kind, and you solve that problem. Houses a lot different, and we're getting that way. California, which has probably the strongest building code of any state, especially towards sustainability. The governors, starting with Jerry Brown and then Newsom, the new governor, they really could see, they had a vision that since California was such a big state, we contributed a lot to any kind of problems that arose, because we are a huge state, a lot of population, a lot of land. And so they started thinking about sustainability back decades ago. And so the cars, they don't spew out as much fossil fuel toxins, not just for global warming, because they started correcting it before global warming, but they didn't want to pollute the atmosphere. They realized that in cities with all these cars spewing out this, people are breathing that toxin smoke. And so that's why they first started making cars more efficient. And it's a good thing they did, because now, you know, of course, now we're not even making gas vehicles more efficient. We're just going around it all together and making electrical vehicles. So, anybody here got an electrical vehicle? Is it a truck by any chance?
No.
Yeah, trucks are late coming on. They have them now, and they'll probably come down in price. They need to make a Hitler, who was horrible 99/9/10% of his life, did a few good things for Germany. One was he made a Volkswagen, people's car. He made this cheap, simple car that everybody could afford. That was a great idea. It's probably his only great idea. And because the other ideas were horrible. We should make a truck that everybody can afford. And then if you have more money, you can buy more custom trucks. But if you don't, then everybody who's a tradesperson or in the labor force could have a, you know, an electric truck. They're making them, but none of the new vehicles are cheap, even the gas vehicles. And cars have really gone up, you know, as you guys all know, right? Okay. So there's different sides to this sustainability. So we're going to try to get over that in the next few minutes, okay? So there's an ethical issue. And we haven't thought about ethics in terms of building a lot in the past, no? But animals use the resources that we're using. So we're taking away resources from animals. People say, well, so what? Well, these animals that are on the earth today and us co-evolve. You guys heard of that? Heard of evolution, how things change over time? Well, the animals that started from bacteria on up and then into little mammals co-evolved with all the other animals, with the land and the water that was here. That's all worked together, just kind of randomly going for millions of years. So the situation we have now didn't just happen yesterday. This is a result of millions of years where we have it. So we need to understand that. And we also need to embrace these other creatures that are part of our world, because they're like family. We've evolved with them. And we haven't been. We just treated them as something that's expendable. We can eat them, kill them, get them out of our life. Well, we can't do that anymore, because they actually have services. They're called ecological services that we use. For instance, there's a whole bunch of animals that get rid of the waste that happens. When things die, there are so many things that are alive that die, it would start piling up unless somebody ate it and quickly got rid of that stuff. So we have crows, and we have just all kinds of birds and other species, insects and things that get rid of that stuff for us. We depend on that. So we don't want, we want to make sure that stays around. There's a whole bunch of environmental situations that we live in that are provided by other species. And we're just, in the last 50 years, we just started finding out, oh my God, you know, these things are really important. We can't just ignore them. So we're finding out how big these connections are. And you know, some of you may know a lot about this. Some of you have may never heard of any of it. But since I have this class, and I was encouraged to start this class years ago, I've kept it up, and I'm trying to give you guys at least a summary of this for those of you that haven't heard too much about this. Let me see. I'll kind of go through. Oh, okay. So I circled some words. So ecosystem. Any of you ever heard of that? Raise your hand if you heard of ecosystem. Yeah, half of you, 2/3 of you. Okay. So that's just the world the material world we live in, right? And its connection. It's different than a material world because it's, now we know it's all connected and, all parts of it are important for the whole of it. So that word we're gonna be using, I use the word benign. Does everybody know what benign means? Okay, how about malignant? Everybody knows what that means, right? The cancer scare has been with us long enough. Oh my God, is that tumor malignant? So malign or malignant means bad, and benign, which is its opposite, means good, or not necessarily bad. So waste from animals is always good. It's never bad. It's some other part of the ecosystem will use it. But humans have learned how to make malignant waste, unfortunately, and most animals can't use. Now, you know what radioactive waste is, right? You know, we make hospital supplies and we make energy from that. So do you think that waste, any animal can use that waste? You would think not, right? But there are actually bacteria that can use radioactive material as their life. You know, they can get sustenance from. That's pretty amazing, huh? A lot of times we have these super sites that have a lot of really nasty chemicals, not necessarily nuclear.
Yeah.
And there's bacteria and fungi that will actually go in there and eat that stuff and turn it into something else. And they're using that. We're starting to use those things on the cleanup side. So that's Carol. Hey, come on in. Oh no, the camera lady's here.
Hi. You tell them who I am?
No, well, yeah, I told him you were coming. So this is Carol Ashley. She's the town's foremost reuse expert and pusher.
Second only to you.
Yeah. So Carol teaches
Here.
yeah, why don't you say some things about you and then we'll take a break, then I'll bore them to the last hour.
This is for you.
Oh, great. This is yours. Yeah, so,
The last hour. What have you been boring you with this?
well, sustainability, we're just getting into it, so. Just don't say a lot, because you're gonna come to class and do a thing, right?
So how many? Okay, so first of all, I teach a non-credit class. And you are able to earn a sustainability certificate. And it's starting September 13th, and it will be for 6 weeks. On Wednesday nights in this classroom. It's not me.
No.
For 6 weeks, and then there was 1 week break, and then there's another 6 weeks. And the first class is called Deconstruction and Reuse, and the second one is called Repurposing and Refurbishing. And so I'm going to leave these flyers up here, and this is the 4th year that I've taught this here, and it's because I've been a teacher for a long time, and Dr. Foster recommended that the state create this curriculum so that I can teach it. I kept saying, are you sure? Are you sure? Are you sure? Because you're it.
So because our
Can I have one of these? Let me just give a break. He's the best. I guess you already know that, but I love construction. And I didn't know that I loved construction. Oh, thank you. And so what I've learned is that there's far too much waste in the world. And that's what got me into the whole concept of learning about reuse. And when I discovered that, at 25 years ago, 70% of what was going into the landfill was considered construction waste. It's still the most wasteful industry. It's a very wasteful industry, but there are ways that we've been improving on how we can reduce that waste by diverting materials from the landfill that are what's known as inerts, which means that it's like concrete, which is huge, rubble, metals. You know, now we're learning more and more about how you can these actually have value. So in my class, I focus on the distinction between demolishing and deconstructing. So when you deconstruct, you take it apart basically from into the original parts. And so when you reuse, you're actually not changing form. When you recycle, when you put something in the recycling collection and it goes to be recycled, it takes a lot of energy to change that form into melting it down or pulping it or whatever it has to happen to be able to make it into a new material again. So with reuse, you might change the application of it. It might, a door might become a table top, but you don't crush it down and make it into its little finest particles. So that in itself saves what's known as the embodied energy. The embodied energy, EMBODIED. Embodied energy is the energy that it takes from inception, from its harvest, from its seed. You know, it takes a long time to grow a 2x4. You know? So when you grow it and then you harvest it and then you mill it and then you transport it and then they say the greenest house is the one that's already built. Why? Because you don't have to go through any of that process. You don't have to cut down any more lumber. You don't have to transport anything. You don't have to mill it. You know, you don't have to do any of that. You just build on what you already have.
Okay. So we have a whole unit on that. And on embedded energy and all that. So, and then you're gonna come back when we do the deconstruction and go into detail.
Yes.
So let me just say that the credit construction program is 9 or 10 classes. 10 classes, you get the certificate, and then if you go on and take a general ed class, you can get a AS degree in construction technology. So Carol's classes are non-credit, so we can't, because we didn't want to add more classes for you guys to have to take to get a certificate. 10's enough, we think. Some places have a lot more than that. When I designed it, I had 12. We dropped a couple. I didn't think it was fair to have you guys do too much. So any classes, and then we tried doing electives. We built that Japanese pergola with one of the elective classes. But then people wouldn't take it because they just wanted to take the required class. They didn't have time, you know, they have busy lives. You guys are working. And they said, well, you know, we're not going to really take the electives, we're just going to take the required. So then we went, crap, because there's a lot of good classes we'd like to offer you guys, but we didn't want to force money. So we started paying attention to the non-credit division. And so Carol's classes are in the non-credit, and we'll be adding to that as we go on. There's all kinds of things we want to eventually include. They don't cost any money, non-credit's free. And what else about it?
Well, each one has 2 6-week classes to get a certificate in sustainability. Your one? Anybody else want one?
So let me just say something. Or you can say something about the
I'm sorry.
no, the sustainability.
You go ahead.
What do you call it? Certificate.
Yeah.
So you get a certificate if you go to the credit construction technology, like a lot of you are doing now, right? And so a lot of people over the years have asked me, well, what good is the certificate? Well, it does have some value. I mean, first of all, if you take all the classes, you'll get a lot of knowledge and skill. That's good in itself. But the certificate, if you go to a company and hire on and they say, well, what's your experience? And say, well, I've been working for 5 years for this company, and before that, I actually went to City College and took their construction technology program. And that will mean something to them, because I've talked to, I know a lot of the builders in Santa Barbara. And when we first started, I asked them, I said, well, does this mean anything, you guys? And they said, oh, yeah. If there's two guys that are pretty much the same in skills, if one guy went to school, they'll take him. So they value that. So that's one of the only things. And so here's a sustainability certificate. Who's going to be interested in that? Well, if for some reason you went to work for the CEC, the Community Environmental Council, and you had that, and you said, well, I took this, the other things, that would be valuable. So it's not that it's not like it's just,
Yeah, if you work for industry, think about all the different applications. Think about recycling. I was in recycling 35 years ago when it first started. There was nobody doing recycling. Nobody even knew about recycling. And now look at what's happened. Because people have recognized there's a value in that. And that's what I recognized. And that's why I started doing this many years ago. I've had my own business for 22 years. It's called Demo to Design. And I have a warehouse. And I've learned over the years that having a warehouse and storing materials is not nearly as good as figuring out where it's going to go before you pick it up, so that there's no need for a warehouse. So that's the next iteration, and that's what we're developing now. We're developing a community reuse program that will take materials directly from the contractors into the hands of nonprofits at no cost. And I'm working with the county and the city and the state and other government agencies to figure out how to be able to make this possible. And we've been doing this for a long time. So what I want you to know is that first of all, this is my very, very favorite class, the one that you're in right now. And I think you'll really,
Class room, you mean? Oh, class, the actual class, 122.
yes.
Okay.
So, so enjoy it. It really is very, very packed. And what we're doing now is that you guys have a field trip on Saturdays. And so that is almost more important than the sit-down class, because you get a chance to actually see the green building in action out there. And on Saturday, we're going to have a chance to actually do some green building deconstruction, because we're going to be salvaging some flooring and learning how to use those tools to be able to do it effectively, so that you don't hurt the surface of the floor. Because if you hurt the surface, mar the surface, it's useless. Who's going to want to install flooring that has a bung in it, So it's really important that you take care to do that. And that's, I think, a kind of a new concept for the contractors. The whole idea of deconstructing, so that you take it apart carefully, and it costs more time, costs more money. So we have to work on finding a way to incentivize that. So that's what we're dealing with right now, figuring ways to be able to make it worth it. Other than the fact that, for 9 years, there's been a law in the state of California that 65% of whatever comes out of a construction project has to be recycled or reused. Where is it going to be reused? Where are you going to take it? Who's taking it? The best thing to do is to figure out where it's going to go before you do that, before you even build it. So it's like this whole system, a closed loop that we're trying to figure out. It's called cradle to cradle. We'll talk about that more in classes.
So these classes are free, and they're Wednesday night.
Wednesday night in this room.
So if you have, how many of you have a Wednesday credit Wednesday night class? Which one is that?
110.
Oh, yeah, see, so there's
Who's teaching? Oh,
Tim.
it's Tim.
Yeah. So if you have that class, of course you have to go to that one.
Yeah.
But if you're not taking that class, then you're at least available to take this if you're interested.
Right. So the people who come to this class, be prepared. We don't do hands-on in this class. we watch really excellent videos. I bring in people from the community to show what they do, to deconstruct, to show about refurnishing, refinishing. There's a variety of modes of presentation. And it's awesome. We really love it. Did you know you can take non-credit classes as many times as you want? I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
I set it out to all the people who've taken my class before, and I started getting all these people coming back going, I'll be there.
Yeah, these credit classes you can only take one, so.
So it really is.
Okay,
Great.
let them
Great.
get a breather. So you guys take a break till 7:30 and come back.
So register.
Yeah.
If you want a flyer, let me know.
I did become like the separate, you know, you're doing a separate application to like apply for non-credit ones. And they didn't give me the okay, yeah, and it's just these links and that'll do it. Okay, so your name is Robin.
I can tell you're gonna be a powerhouse when you get out there.
I'm hoping for it.
Yeah, so you kind of like my warehouse, small but mighty.
Appreciate it. Yeah.
Well, I look forward to seeing you, Robin.
Yeah.
Is it with a Y or an I? An I?
With an I, yeah.
Good. I hope, I always look forward to seeing people who are in construction because I just think that's.
Yeah. I don't work in construction, but
Yeah,
you know, yeah, exactly. I'm taking this program like as I don't have any immediate family in the trades either. I have some like other relatives in electrical, but like my mom and dad. And I don't have any siblings, so I just took this course to kind of, or the program rather, to learn, you know, about the entire industry. And really, I'm excited to get out there and start my career.
what have you been doing for work?
At the farmers market, I'm a full-time student and I just can't do the full-time student and job. And so I was working as a waitress for a while and then now I run a stand at the farmers market 2 days a week. What is hummus? Always hummus, good stuff.
Hey, let me ask you a question. Which farmer's market do you?
I do the one on State Street on Tuesdays and the one in Toledo on Sundays.
Has anybody had corn, fresh corn there?
I've seen corn.
Cause I went,
The only corn is in this classroom.
I went to DJ and that corn was terrible. I thought maybe the farmers market will have some of those saying something.
I've gotten mine from Albertsons and I've been pretty happy with it.
What?
Yeah, fresh. So, what was I gonna say? On Tuesday nights, have you seen a guy there named Eric who sells flowers?
I don't know the names, but
Big flower market.
I've seen, yeah, big flower market, yeah.
I haven't been there in so long. My business used to be downtown and I would always go there on 59th after I worked. And so my business is not leaving now, so I don't get a chance to do it. But listen, let me talk to him for a second and then we'll see you on Saturday.
Yeah, see you guys Saturday.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Should I put one in the front and some in the front office? Outside of where I thought.
Okay. Get these.
Okay, well, and I have that one, I covered one over there.
I have more. You want some more? Because I haven't, I got how many she made for me, but she printed them.
See, I talked to. Corley, certified to understand on the part of the thing on. Getting to know this place.
they weren't gonna let me check mine. I still don't have to
It
check.
sounds like
Working up to
they're warming up, yeah. And I think Coral is probably, could be the impetus because she's lost.
is. You remember if her husband, her husband,
Yeah, he was deep. I had a
wasn't he? What was his name again? But it was something not,
Smith.
yeah,
Last name. Oh, her name's Smith too.
yeah, yeah.
A guy Smith.
So
he was terrible.
that's
He
what,
likes, he's every time, hey, Patrick.
I think that was what I remember, yeah. So I remember,
I mean, he just wasn't there.
so, okay, so you put up your. Yeah, so it was really interesting. It was like I had an opportunity with Emma today to turn her around.
But and I think you've approached it really well. I mean, you've known her a while, so you guys are acquaintances. So that was. No, but you can get away with that now.
When I went to the art company, she said, just know we're here.
I thought, great.
Yeah, right. Yeah, so anyway,
Oh, I think they're waiting, they're happy. You know, they don't have a lot of.
Caroline,
Well,
I don't know, I was gonna ask Patty, but she said, actually, she left me a voicemail. But it was just so broken up like, from her car, it was just, parts of it were missing. It was like, she was saying, like when somebody's proposing and they get right to the point and then it blanks out, that's what it was like today. And so then she called me back after she had left that voicemail. And I was so glad, but what she's very impressed with is that I'm working with the family. She said, we hope that we can build this into a certificate program. And I said, it is a certificate program. And she said, it is, well, that's wonderful. But you're right, we really do need to build on this.
Yeah.
If I could do a whole class on repair,
well, repair is on everybody's mind because things are so expensive. They can repair something.
it will cost me. I had to mess with them because they were charging me an extra $1, $3.50 per key. $3.50 per key
Where was that?
at Ace. But I've gotten them for $1.80, I mean, I get total, I buy all my, I have all my keys, so I have doorknobs that have to be replaced.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And
Well, we need to prepare class, fix it class. Repair class,
absolutely. So
we have to find someone that can do it. I'm sure there must be. Well,
oh, there are so many people and I know people. I have that in my database, I literally have 2,000 in my database. And so in the database, I note if they're a carpenter, if they're a contractor, if they're an architect, whatever it is. So the thing is that we're going to be establishing this state basis. The percentage for architects, this is in procurement, we're finally discussing the procurement aspect.
Yeah.
And so we're getting down to the
Well,
401 type things,
you
things like that. Wait a minute, and we're saying a percentage of every architect's design is gonna have to include a percentage of.
Well,
play.
yeah, I mean, they have that now. It's a voluntary measure.
I know,
Well, which is a step forward.
yeah,
And this guy that I was telling you about, that's the living building shop.
I asked my other mentor, yesterday in Seattle, when I had this. Told you about the pod. I can tell you.
Oh, he showed me that.
A meeting with him, so. He's giving me free.
What did he say about, did he say something about?
He said, what I need to do for, I said, have you ever heard of the living? He said, yes, of course. So, what he said was, if you're gonna be meeting with us, we need to have. So we need to have it clear what is involved and what we propose. So that's what I'm working on. That's what I want to talk to you about today. Drawn out as soon as we can, because Monday I'm gonna.
What if you make one go to print?
Well,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I just got a guy in France last night at 11 o'clock, and I had to go get.
No, but for a team, what's his name?
Right, right. Yeah, so what he said, how are you gonna incentivize the contractors to be able to do this? And I was telling them about the nonprofits that handle that stuff. So we were walking through the cost of it. Comes down to is I have to meet with Mark. And I need to get that blank from Tony.
Yeah.
That shows what they, the bottom line is. System. They want to put it someplace, they take it out, they want to put it someplace.
Where, at the site?
I think it's really a great idea.
Oh, is that what-
It's covered and picked up by a company.
Oh,
And then he came up with this one, he said, even better, if franchise company that does the collection, trash collection already, if they have a system. Or if they have a partnership
Yeah, yeah.
with a pot, which they very much likely might have. So I'm just thinking, so I'm researching that now,
Well, yeah, I'll help you with that flow chart,
yeah,
but, maybe just,
mock-up,
mock up and let me add.
Yeah. yeah, even if it's just in
I know,
words,
but it's important, he's right. So that's
Absolutely.
what politicians, they wanna know where it's going,
yeah, and what's happening now
yeah. No,
currently, so that's why I have to get those numbers, so I'm really working hard.
Yeah, I think they're really wanting, to check the rules.
Yeah.
And people all the time are asking for the Pixie class, and I get that.
Well, so,
We used to have all that.
too bad that shopstick or whatever.
We used to have furniture invention. And that's a good thing too, right? You know, this furniture, you
Absolutely,
want to refinish it, huh?
exactly,
And,
because that's what Stephen Ozab of Goleta Valley Paint Center, he's excellent on that stuff. He actually, you may hear him on 99.9. Sometimes he has these little radio advertisements
I
that
have
talk
heard
about,
those. I
those
have
are him,
heard those.
and he's
Yeah,
excellent.
they've caught my ear. I have, yeah.
I'll tell him that, yeah. But-
And what's this jingle is we are.
We're a paint
So,
store, not a
paint.
department.
Yeah.
So thank you for the handouts,
Yeah,
and this made me realize that even though I have my full lesson plan on a drive.
Yeah.
There are people who don't have they don't have a computer.
Yeah.
And they might be in the classroom.
I gave him a picture of them in more school, like, defend paper.
Are they double sided?
Yeah.
Oh, good, of course. So this guy looks really.
We want to have trees.
Hi, I'm Carol. What's your name?
Dennis,
Dennis?
Dennis has been,
I took one of your classes.
That's what I thought.
yeah, he's been around here a while. He's finishing up now.
Oh,
This is it.
This is it.
You got
You
to
didn't take one of my deconstruction classes, did you?
Yeah, I took the first one.
What's your last name?
Vega. Vega,
Oh, yeah, I do remember that name.
yeah.
Did you finish?
No, I didn't finish.
Well, you can take it again.
That's true. I didn't know that.
You can take one of these. Did you get one? I'll give you this. Yeah, it's worth it.
Yeah, watch what you say around Carol, Dennis. You'll learn quick.
It's so easy to pass this class. I didn't tell anybody, but if you have to attend, there's 6 classes. You have to attend 4 of the 6. That's really pretty good.
Yeah.
And you have to contribute something to an example of reuse to the online collage that we have.
Oh, okay.
It's so easy. And you can either, I didn't tell them this either. It's online and in person. So when we're here, I have the gallery that's online projected onto the screen too. So they see the class and the class sees them. I think I'm the only one doing this because I thought the high flex class was that, and I found out that, nobody else is doing that.
So what do we have to do to,
Just Emma.
just Emma?
Yeah.
I knew there'd be a closet like it. There is in every room. I'm glad I went, I will,
Tim took it out of the request.
no,
So is this the camera from there?
yeah,
So,
so, yeah, see, so I get, that's, so I can monitor it, I used to have a student do it. But
you're monitoring yourself teaching?
just make sure that it's on me and the board. Basically,
So. Yeah, good. So my camera faces them, so that they are in the gallery.
yeah.
It's okay.
Well, oh, look, come here,
And then,
Yeah, come
did
here.
you know about this projector screen?
Yeah,
You
come-
showed me this. Did you know about this?
No,
That's
is
how
that
you
that
turn
one?
on the projector.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you have to be sure to turn it off.
Ours is here.
Yeah, but this is there.
Yeah, thank you, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I didn't.
Look
either.
at, so look, so see where it's just,
Oh, that's nice.
yeah,
How do I get that?
well,
Oh, I do. I know I
Yeah,
could get that.
yeah.
I usually have it a different form.
so this night I have this because some people come and crash, like there is someone or whatever.
Yeah,
But, and then I'll be
Gotcha.
using it for YouTube, but tonight I didn't have that, but
You-
look at this here. See where it says stop video?
Yeah.
So it's also the,
options.
yeah, so that's this camera
Uh-huh,
and this is this camera.
mhm.
I don't know where that one went. But,
Come back, come back.
but anyway, that's where you can look.
I wonder
Um,
who Rangel is. I knew a Billy Rangel, drummer.
Oh, I don't know.
There's somebody in here. His name is.
Yeah, yeah.
Rangel, where is it? Rangel.
His
Julio.
name's Julio.
Yeah. Okay, okay. I think you've got a pencil on the floor.
Oh, my God.
I know.
What next?
You did that better than I could have.
That's because I did some stretches before.
Oh, good. Okay. Not gonna let,
Yeah.
uh, have fun.
I will.
I'm gonna leave
Oh,
now.
so
Oh, yeah, so for Saturday.
he wants to move the shed all the way down to where those metal ones were.
You mean down,
No.
just to the corner?
Yeah, just the corner.
That's okay with me. I just
So we
don't
can
want
do
it
that.
moving off this
No, we can do that.
surface.
And then we'll take the wood. And there's another pile there. Do you see it on the other side of the shed?
That's not mine.
No, I know. That's what he's keeping.
Oh,
So all we have to do is put the keeper. I think most of it'll be keeping. I mean, why would you save something that wasn't keeping?
yeah.
If it hasn't, been
So
damaged,
anything that we just add it to that pile?
add it to that pile.
Oh,
And then anything that we're throwing away,
we're not.
if it's green waste, we take it down to the dump. Otherwise, you want us to haul it away, but I don't think there's gonna be enough to haul away.
I don't think so.
And I don't wanna pay for
No,
it.
the only things that I can say is that right now, I have found just a few, you'll see in there, there's just a few that may be bowed.
Yeah, we can